Okay, we got an NXT episode on the 4th of July, and I'm going to try and make this short because there's a lot of fireworks going off, and it gets pretty loud, and I don't want it to mess up this recording. So, next to that, I want to see if I can watch a little bit of it. Let's make this very clear. Was this a good show? For certain parts, yes. I'm sure someone's going to like it. Someone's going to like it. But if I'm looking at this objectively, this was chaos again. It was like they were throwing a lot of stuff at the wall in the hopes that it would stick. Some of it will. Some of it won't. But I'm going to be honest here. Honestly, with the way NXT has been going lately, I've been thinking about something. And I'll say it at the end of this review, but let's go through this. I'm not going to be detailed. I will tell you the basic stuff here due to the fact that more is going to be elaborated the next couple of weeks going to the American Bash. I'm just making it very, very short here. Opening, Davenport versus a Roxanne Perez. Now, let's make this clear. We just seen this on the main roster. We've seen a lot of attacks by both sides, by heels and faces, quite a lot lately. If you haven't noticed, like on Raw, we saw a lot of heels and faces attacking one another from behind every time when they come out from the Titantron. So I think this might become a heavy trend now. And I don't like it. Once in a while, you see someone attack someone from behind. But you got the faces doing it. You got the heels doing it. And I believe when you see this SmackDown, you're not going to see it maybe once. You're going to see more than once. Because they did it more than once on Raw. You saw it at the pay-per-view. And now you see her at NXT. Roxanne Perez literally runs and attacks a Davenport from behind. And people would say, well, dude, it makes sense because she got attacked from behind. That's not what a face does. I'm sorry. That's not what a face normally does. Now, in her case, she's supposed to be a more tough bitch type of face as a female. And you could say it could work. And to a certain extent, it did work, particularly that Davenport won. Because if she had won, and that's Roxanne Perez, it wouldn't make it look bad that you got an extremely strong female out of nowhere acting super tough who's never been known to be that tough. And yes, she showed it during the match. She could take a lot. But seeing her lose wasn't that bad, and particularly in trying to push Davenport. But this trend of either heels and faces attacking each other more than once in a week, in other words, more than once within each show I think it's gone. I think they're going to do multiple times now. I think Vince has decided, let's make this interesting. We're going to have both the bad guys and good guys attacking each other all the time. That doesn't help booking. Next. Taylor. No. You know what was missing in that match? Wesley. We had Mustafa Ali versus Tyler Bates. There was no Wesley watching. I didn't see him at ringside, and I didn't see him on the TV when they showed him back, unless when I went to the bathroom I missed it, because I did go once. This was not about the match. I actually believe that this match was damn good. I really liked it. I think it was the best match of the night. Now, the story to it sucks. Let's make it clear. The story is not that great. It is not, and I'm not going to tell you it is. We're just talking about pure wrestling. And when you look at both of them, you're going to like, at least some are going to like, that there was some good amount of grapple wrestling here. It wasn't high-flying wrestling like a lot of people just don't like, where there's a lot of aerial. This was mostly ground and chain wrestling. For me personally, I don't mind having a little bit of aerial, a little bit of ground wrestling with a little grapple, and a good amount of story. Here, there's not much story. Yes, Mustafa Ali did the funny counts during the time when he was a ref. Yes, they're going to go there. That's what they're doing with the story. And I'm not saying it's a very strong one, but that's what we got. In the end, he won, and now he's asking for a shot, and that's Mustafa Ali from Wesley. I don't know if y'all actually get it, but let's just see where it goes. Next. Let me give it to you like this. Tatum Paxley versus, what was her name? Carmella Oh, what is her name? I can't remember her first name. It's Jordan. She's working right now with Dana Brooke. And here's where there's going to be some controversy. I don't really personally care. Most more pure pro wrestling fans wants a wrestler that's like WWE. I'm not saying the pure fans that like AEW are, because that's the other side of the coin. Pure pro wrestling fans like from WWE want someone who is similar to how The Rock came in, John Cena came in, how most other women come in as football players, gymnasts, when it comes to track and field, like Bianca Belair. That's where they believe the best people will come in. And then the opposite side of the coin, who are also purists of pure amateur wrestling within pro wrestling. They want more pro wrestling. They want real amateur stuff. And they're willing to sacrifice some of the storyline to get it. And usually, those pure wrestling fans who want amateur wrestling have now transitioned to high-flying wrestling. I didn't forget you guys. I got you. I see you. When you see this match, you can tell Tatum Paxley is more of a pro wrestler of seasoning, at least a little bit, because she's been trained better and she's doing more of a traditional pro wrestling that's more amateurish, somewhat not really high-flying. And then you got Jordan, who is doing more of what a Vince McMahon would want, more pure WWE pure wrestling fans want, where they're more of a gymnast. In this case, she was a cheerleader. She's also a gymnast, and it shows. She's like Sorika. As I've said to you guys before, I think Sorika has the potential to be good, but you got gymnastics and you got pro wrestling. This is the gauge right now. She's more gymnastic than she is pro wrestling. Sometimes you got to bring it a little bit closer to have more balance. So The Rock didn't act like a linebacker or a wide receiver, or quarterback for that matter, when he wrestled. He wrestled taking a bit of what it meant to be a football player and more incorporated more pro wrestling into it. Eventually the pro wrestling overtakes the original bit that you are from. That's the truth. Whether you like it or not. And currently, she's just like Sorika. She's more of a former gymnast and cheerleader than anything else. And it shows. And that's why, when you watch the match, very choreographed, way too choreographed and set up, and it felt clunky. It felt like someone had to wait from one move to another, to another, to another. You got Jordan win, but then you see Corey Jade coming out, who is more a Vince McMahon type of style of pro wrestler, who came in, who's trained the way that Vince likes it, which is more of a pro wrestling sexy piece of ass type of female. At least until she gets the main roster, and they'll just make her into a sexy ass flat out. She's not going to be the next AJ Lee. That's what this is coming down for me personally. Is she the new AJ Lee? Yes. Will she be the new AJ Lee? No, because I don't think Vince is going to understand how to book her like AJ Lee was booked. April. I doubt he'll be able to book her like that. But now you got Corey Jade dealing with a Dana Brooke that is going to transition to Jordan. Now, let's get this over with. I gotta get this done. If I don't get this over with, I don't even want to think about it. I'm sure people are going to say, dude, this was great. Really? NXT Underground. An offshoot of the original Raw Underground, which was a novel concept when the pandemic happened, before we had the Thunderdome time. They were trying whatever they could to make things interesting. This is what was left of that concept. Was it a good concept when it came out the first couple of times? Yes. I will say that. It was different. Triple H tried to make it something. Vince took it over and altered it in a way that made it look like shit. Now, it's here. And I'm telling you right now, this is a Vince McMahon idea, not a Triple H idea or an HBK idea. Because HBK, from all the booking I've seen, he doesn't need something like that. He wouldn't go there. This is something that was mandated or suggested by Vince. That's what this is, honestly. And let's make this clear. You got HBK making the best of it. Was it booked correctly for what it was? Yes, it was still booked just like how Raw Underground was. The only difference is it doesn't exclude the fans that are there. And that did help quite a lot with the cheering, the booing, the everything. Damon Kemp going against Eddie Thorpe. And Gabe Stevens is there. I didn't realize he was an Olympic gold medalist. I don't really keep up with that stuff anymore. I used to a certain extent. I don't even check anymore. Let me give it to you like this. Was this a good match? No. Did it feel like a real match? No. Now, was it a ground and pound match? Yes. But did it feel like it? No. It felt like a Raw Underground adapted for NXT. Now, I'm sure people would say, dude, you're biased. This was amazing. That's what some would say. Well, I gotta ask you this. What does this accomplish? That's what the question is about this. The original concept of Raw Underground was to get Bobby Lashley over, to really build him up to be a monster. It also helped Omos to a certain extent. That's what it was meant to do. Omos really never got a huge mileage out of it, but it did help to hurt business. It did help Bobby Lashley particularly. Here, this was a one-off match that's supposed to be between two guys that want to settle something, and an Olympic gold medalist who clearly was the real more of the focus, particularly after the match was over, and supposedly Damon got his ass whooped. I'm not going to fill in all the blanks of it. I'm not going to say much. Well, what did we get for Damon Kemp supposedly knocking his shoulder out of whack? That he can take a lot of pain until the ref stops the match. He doesn't say that it's a knockout, a technical knockout, because he couldn't defend himself anymore. It was a stoppage. Now, is that something that can be done? Of course it is. Because it's WWE, they will do a stoppage. Of course. But did it feel important? No. If you were going to make this Underground mean something special, throw it on a Great American Bash. I'm telling you right now. If this was going to be important, if they were going to do something special with this, why not put on the Great American Bash? Why did you wait to do it here where you still have until the 30th after my own birthday? Why? If you wanted to make this mean something, throw it on the damn pay-per-view or premium live event bullshit. It's a pay-per-view. Guys, this meant nothing. It didn't help Damon Kemp. It didn't really help Eddie Thorpe. It looks like it was more for Stevenson to show how great he was when he started flipping everybody around like he was way better than Thorpe anyway. Wouldn't it have been better, instead of Eddie Thorpe winning, wouldn't it have been better for Damon Kemp to win? And because those two, Gabe Stevens and Damon Kemp, wouldn't it be better to have them at each other's necks? And put it on Great American Bash? I think Great American Bash is a premium live event. I think so. I'll be surprised if it wasn't. But you get my point. What was this booking? It made no sense. You could have done a regular match, whoop the ass of Eddie Thorpe, then let Gabe Stevenson try to save him, go up against Damon Kemp, and you would have set something up for Damon Kemp and Gabe Stevenson, which could help Gabe become. Would have helped Stevenson more than it would have helped Eddie Thorpe. Where this was not about Eddie, this was about Stevenson. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to JC James versus Valkyria. A even worse match than Paxley and Jordan. You know why? It was like someone didn't want to hit the other. Telling you the truth. If you watch the match, actually, the very beginning to parts of the middle, it looked like Valkyria didn't even want to hurt a JC James. JC James acted rough with her, but Valkyria is much more gentle. I've seen Valkyria act a lot more physical with people, and it felt like she wasn't. Then, seeing JC James, which I knew she wasn't going to win. Let's make this clear. JC James is no longer a toxic attraction. The only thing that got her over was Mandy Rose. Gigi Golan, the same thing. Look what happened with her dealing with Kiana James, getting paint dumped on top of her, and now Kiana James's room, where she usually does her work in her office, well, her office getting painted like crazy, and now all the gloves off. That's what Kiana James says. That's what both of them have. They don't mean anything without a Mandy Rose. She was supposed to go to the main roster with them, then hopefully set them up, and then that would have been it. Now they're nothings. So I look at Valkyria. She wins here. Then she gets her feathers ripped up. I felt like this didn't really mean anything until the very end when they started getting rough and Valkyria was willing to take a bump or willing to hit harder on JC James. That's the way I felt. It looked like it. Now, Stacks, sorry. Let's make this clear. Stacks going up against, Joe Gacy. No, not Joe. You see, I'm getting things mixed up because of the ending, because of what's going to happen with the Creeds. I got to say that. Because I'm not going to talk about the match, I'm going to talk about the aftermath. But let's talk about this. Joe Coffey dealing with Stacks. Who wins the match is going to determine what's going to happen with Tony D'Angelo. If Stacks win, the charges against Tony are dropped. If he loses, he stays until the trial, and Coffey made it very clear. You know what? I heard from a birdie that if it goes through, you go to trial, you're gone for a while. I'm not going to go any further because of how stupid they were trying to say that Stacks is against Tony D'Angelo. At least they tried to make it make sense when Stacks said, why would I try and set you up? I've been taking care of the business. All the bags are full of money. We getting our stuff. I'm doing moves. And clearly saying it like that, you would say, well, dude, there you go. He just admitted it. No, he didn't. He just is working the day-to-day operations of the Dom's business. He's making sure the envelopes are full of money. He's making sure the businesses are running. That's his job as the underboss. But since they tried to say that he is setting up Tony, it just didn't make any sense. Now, mind you, next week we will find out. And what will happen after that? Because if I'm right, because of how the booking's been lately, Starks will probably turn on Tony when it gets out. And it will be about that when it shouldn't be. Because they never booked it that way. It just feels like it was tacked on. Now, let's move on to the final thing. And I know I can talk about Nolan Dar, but I'm not going to. I know I can talk about Baron Corbin and what he did. I'm leaving that alone as well. I want to see how they elaborate on him. Is he still going to be the lone wolf or not? I'm leaving it. Let's make this clear. Oh, and Von Wagner. I'm not talking about Von Wagner. Yes, he did powerbomb Bobby Hobby, but I'm leaving it. Next week, let's see where they go with it. This is all about the ending. I don't remember the title I made, but it's about them being gone. And that's the Creeds. Dyad versus the Creeds. Who wins, stays. Who loses, leaves. Was it a good match? Of course it was. It was a good match. It wasn't the best match of the night. I do think Tyler Bates and Mustafa Ali was better. But this is a better story. Let's make this clear. This was the better match. That is how they structured it. That was a Tyler Bates and a Mustafa Ali. But this is the better story. And along with the great wrestling, it had a proper story. Who wins stays, who loses goes. In the end, the Creeds do lose. Ivy Nile's not going with them. They're going to the main roster. Here's the deal. No, I'm not going to talk about Finn either. I know I could talk about Finn. I'm sure someone's going to say, what about Finn Balor? I'm not talking about him either. Let him come to NXT, possibly with Judgment Day, but I think it'll be by himself due to the fact of what's going on with the Judgment Day, like I've said. But here's the thing. There is a reason why, if you look into my list of I didn't have a playlist for NXT. At least I don't remember if I do. But there's not many episodes of NXT until a couple of years ago. You know why? Because I stopped doing it. At one point, I was considering doing NXT, and I did a few episodes of it, maybe 2015 or 14 or 15. No, 15 or 16. But I stopped. I was beginning to do reviews, but then I stopped because I know what was going to happen. You know why? Because all those years ago, I could see the writing on the wall every single time an NXT wrestler, male or female alike, went to the main roster. They were treated like shit. Let me say it again. Shit. Shit. And they had to be reconstructed from scratch when they didn't need to be. Literally. Which pissed me off to the point where I just said, you know what? I don't want to have to get invested in these people, but then know that Vince is going to change them so utterly and then put them in the back in catering and sit for years. There was some of them that was sitting back there for more than a year or more doing nothing, only coming out when it was very rarely needed because they needed bodies. Or when Vince finally decides to use you, when you could have been used correctly before, he treats you like shit. Look at Rusev Day. Look at Rusev. He got over with Aiden English. They did Rusev Day. Rusev Day. It was so freaking over. They were from NXT. They were both treated like shit until they found their footing. And then Vince killed it. Vince killed it. It wasn't because Rusev killed it. It wasn't because Aiden English killed it. It was Vince. So we now, Creed. Coming to the main roster. It doesn't matter. SmackDown, Raw, or maybe they'll float between SmackDown, Raw. Maybe they'll go back to NXT just to visit when they shouldn't be. But they'll be bouncing back and forth, possibly between the both of the shows. If, and that's if, they even last that long. Because guess what? They may end up like Hit Row did. If you remember last year, they came to the main roster, was on for a couple of weeks, and then they were gone. Like a lot of people. They brought up a whole slew of people, did absolutely nothing with them, left them in the back, maybe showed them a couple of times. They were gone. They were gone. And we know for a fact, if someone says, dude, that's not going to happen, check the other wrestling podcasts from last year. Check JD from NY. Check Solomonster. Check basically just Alex. Check the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Check them. Look back in 2022 and you will see a huge slew of wrestlers who were brought up and then they were released. That happened. We know that it's coming. We know that the purge is about to happen. That Vince will start purging people within the next possible couple of months before the end of the year. There will be a purge. It is going to happen. Usually around this time, nearing September to October, there is a purge. It happens. So the question is, will they be a part of it? Or worse yet, they're not gotten rid of and have to wait 3 months before they can wrestle anywhere else. They simply just sit in the back. Or worse than that, they are used, but then they're misused because Vince won't know what to do with them. The writers can't do anything because Vince won't know what to do with them. And even though Triple H supposedly is going to possibly do something, Vince can override him and then they'll have no idea what to do with them. Because as you've seen from SmackDown, which is generally supposed to be what Triple H runs, it hasn't been great at all. The only thing that's been good is the Bloodline. Everything else has been garbage. And when you look at Raw, yes, many people will say this Raw was actually quite interesting. In the end, he gained nothing from it. What did we gain from Cody dealing with Brock? Nothing. Really. What are we going to gain from Damian Priest and having Money in the Bank where literally they're trying to break up Judgment Day, where you shouldn't. It's not necessary yet. It's a good thing to keep them, but Vince wants to break them up. I doubt it's Triple H. Remember, Triple H wanted LA Knight for the briefcase. It was reported that Triple H wanted LA Knight. It was reported Vince wanted Logan Paul, and everybody hates Logan. I don't like him myself because I know some of the stuff he's done. But the point is, two people running two different shows, but one of them can override the other. So I don't expect the Creeds to end well. I'm done. Peace.